I have streamed on YouTube, waiting for it to show up here so I can mute myself so I don't hear us talking 30 seconds later. All right, so we're good there. We're going to start the broadcast of the webinar, which will start letting folks come on in. Well, Happy New Year, Michelle. How are you?
I'm great. Happy New Year to Dan. Hope you had a great one. And Brian, Happy New Year to you as well. Thanks for joining us. And Happy New Year to everybody. 2023, I can't believe it.
Time is flying by, and you can see my orientation of the of where my computer is new, right? So I have a new background. It's not just the dinette window of my RV anymore. It's now the expansive living area of of the RV. We took out the dinette table and made a nice workspace for me over the holidays. So yeah, you just have different things to look at in the background of my screen anyway. But welcome to another QuickBooks Power Hour. Today we're going to be talking about putting your accounting on autopilot with Autymations. And we have Brian joining us here from Autymate to talk a little bit about that. You know, time is flying by, and so what better way to start off the new year of the QuickBooks Power Hour with how can you save time with some automation? So Michelle, introduce yourself.
Welcome everybody. I'm Michelle Long, CPA with Innovation and Entrepreneurship, owner of Long for Success, author of several different books. You can check them all out on Amazon, and very happy to be back here for yet another year of QB Power Hour. And I was thinking about this. I think QB Power Hour has been around for, gosh, going around on 8 or 9 years. So very glad to be back again and having everybody joining us. Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, definitely great to have start a new year with you, Michelle. My name is Dan DeLong, owner of Dan With. Worked at Intuit for about 18 years, co-hosting today as well as the Workshop Wednesday over at schoolbookkeeping.com. So Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself. Remind the folks who you are.
Yeah, how's everybody doing? Happy New Year, everybody. My name is Brian Perdue, CEO and founder of Autymate. We exist to be the easiest way to do accounting automation. And, you know, I've been kind of in the mid-market for over 8 years, and we've connected over 350 systems with our product. And we really specialize in accounting automation. And you know, my passion as a CEO is helping companies execute the best decisions possible via a platform that helps them organize their information at scale. So nothing makes me happier than helping you organize your data so you can get things done and make the best decisions for your clients. We also work with Jim Wells here. He's been a ProAdvisor for 20 years with Intuit, and he's our CFO.
Awesome. Thanks again for joining us here today. We'll dive a little bit deeper into, you know, the power of what Autymate can actually do. But let's talk a little bit about the Power Hour webinars. It's every other Tuesday at 12 Eastern. Upcoming webinars are they're not eligible for CPE yet, but we are, you know, working with some folks to be able to maybe have that as an option. You can always check the website for upcoming events. You know, we are, you know, starting to put together the schedule for this year. So take a look and see if those topics are of interest to you. But you can always access the PDFs of the slides, the recordings, podcasts, and other resources at QuickBooks or QBPowerHour.com/resources. A little bit of the housekeeping. If you do have specific questions about things that we're talking about here specifically today, please put them in the Q&A, especially if it involves some follow-up. That makes it a lot easier for us to follow up with you post the webinar. So if it's something specific about the topic that we're talking about today, please put it in the Q&A. If you have you know, things to say like Happy New Year, please put those in the chat. There's no need to follow up with a Happy New Year. And then of course we have the links for the handouts. Also, those handouts are sent out as a link in the reminder emails that come out. So there should be a link there at the bottom. This is just a screenshot of those reminder emails that do come out an hour and the day before to get you to the resources link there. Also, I am always inundated with people asking me to cancel for them. You can cancel your registration right from the reminder email all the way at the bottom as well. It's specific to you, so you can certainly put on do that. Oh, I forgot to turn on the where is it now? The transcripts. So where is it here? Zoom moved away on me, so I can't. And of course, they keep changing things. So I don't know. Michelle, can you see that? Where you?
I don't see the settings. I don't see the settings to turn the transcripts on.
All right, I will look a little bit. Go ahead.
It does have the transcripts on. Somebody's enabled it at least.
Oh, okay.
A participant has enabled it.
Okay, there we go.
Captioning.
There you go. So it should be showing now. All right. So our agenda today, we'll be saving time with Autymations, but we'll want to talk a little bit about this new QBO feature, revenue recognition, first, and then we'll dive into to Brian and Automate, talk about the app journey that Automate Transaction has taken, what makes it different, and some of the use cases that you could potentially use Automate for. So let's first talk about this new QBO feature, revenue recognition. This was one of those, Michelle, that we were announced. It was announced at QB Connect, and to thunderous silence because we were a little bit skeptical, I think is the the nicest way to put it. Like, what does this look like, right? But it did come out in quick fashion, which was kind of nice. We're like, well, okay, well, we'll believe it when we see it, and now we can see it. So I wanted to share. I don't know if I shared my sound. I haven't shared my sound, so I'm going to play the little video, which is on this link here that's on the slide, so you can access this video at another time. Also put it on the Automate landing page for today. Well, let's go ahead and listen.
Hi, this is Jason from the QuickBooks team. With QuickBooks Online Advanced, you can record a payment from a customer for services you'll deliver in the future and then recognize the revenue over time. Let's go over how to turn on the revenue recognition setting, then set up a service that you'll invoice for once and recognize the revenue for each month. Then invoice a customer for the service and look at the revenue recognition schedule. First, select Settings, then Account and Settings. Select the Sales tab, and then select the Products and Services section. Select Revenue Recognition and save. Then select Done. Now that you've turned on revenue recognition, you'll see new options when you set up a service item. Select Settings, Products and Services. Then select New, Service. This business offers a membership where they invoice customers once for a year's worth of lawn mowing services and then recognize the revenue every month. Name the service. Enter a description you'd like to appear on invoices you send to customers. Then enter what you charge for the full term of the membership, and assign an income account QuickBooks will use when it recognizes your revenue over time. Select the checkbox, I recognize revenue for this product monthly. When you invoice your customer for the service, QuickBooks uses this liability account to categorize the funds you'll receive. Then over time, QuickBooks will automatically decrease this liability account and increase the balance for your income account. You select the frequency and for how long. QuickBooks automatically adjusts your liabilities and income here. This company recognizes revenue from the membership plan every month and charges for a year's worth of services. Select Save and Close. Now it's time to invoice a customer for the membership. Select New, Invoice. Fill in the customer's name and other details like normal. Then enter the service in the Product Service field. QuickBooks automatically enters the description you recorded earlier, but you can customize it here. Use today's date or any date after today as the service date. Right now you're invoicing the customer for one full term of the membership, which lasts a year. It's important to remember that the quantity is not the number of months you're charging them for, it's how many full terms you're charging for. Fill in any remaining details and select Save and Send to email the invoice to the customer. Let's take a look at the invoice and see how QuickBooks tracks revenue over time. Select View Revenue Recognition, and QuickBooks displays when you'll recognize revenue, what the balance of the liability account will be, the amount you'll recognize, and the total amount you'll have recognized at that time. QuickBooks recognizes revenue at the end of each month. Now you're ready to set up and use revenue recognition in QuickBooks Online Advanced.
So the video makes it seem, whoops, go past it. Stop that.
This is Jason.
Don't want to hear Jason again. So the video makes it seem pretty awesome. There's always some yeah buts, right? When it, especially when we're talking about with accounting professionals, when it comes to that. Typically, Michelle, what is the idea of revenue recognition when from an accountant's perspective, right?
Well, this is where you're going to, be trying to follow GAAP and stuff. And so this is where you're trying to spread that out over a period of time. And so, in the notes there, you're saying it's service items only. Well, that makes sense. If you've got a product, you're not going to be doing a product over a period of time. So to me, that's not a big deal. The cannot quick add a liability account, that could be a quick add, that could be important because a lot of times spreading it out over a period of time, you are using that liability account where you're setting up those to go to a deferred revenue account. So that one could be, that could throw a kink in people's processes because a lot of times they do set it up going to a liability account. So that could cause people to, set things up improperly and stuff. So it's really going to just kind of depend on how people start using this and everything. A lot of times people have already set it up going to a deferred liability account and setting up recurring journal entries to do this themselves so that they have a recurring journal entry doing this already. So, we'll just see how this works in practice and how people start using it and everything. I think there's a lot of yet to be seen in practice.
Right. Yeah, I started playing with it because, for School of Bookkeeping, we do annual subscriptions, and we want to recognize that revenue over each month
throughout the year.
And that's where I discovered that you can't do this on non-inventory items because we had set them up. We had set up our subscriptions as non-inventory parts. And where's the revenue recognition option that Jason showed me in the demo, right? Well, I had to change them to service items, and voila, they show up as the option shows up. And you got to make sure that the service date is used on the invoices because that's what it's using as its calculation point for when that service was started, so that it knows to do that monthly. But what I found out and what I discovered is that it didn't affect my reports.
That's a big one. That's a big thing there. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is some chatter, I guess, is the best way to describe it. That cash versus accrual. There is some. So we're not celebrating just yet with revenue recognition because they still got to figure out, make sure that your reports are correct, because that's what you want to see is a nice profit and loss where it's split out over the course of the year or however much you have there. But they have the framework is there, and the functionality is there. It's just now, getting to the when the rubber hits the road on the reports.
Well, and speaking of the reports, we did have a question that came up. If you invoice a prorated amount because the new customer came on mid-year, but an annual billing occurs in January. So they're asking about that. The other thing with the reports that I would wonder about is how is it working for the sales tax? Is that being calculated correctly?
Yeah.
If the reports aren't picking up accurately, is the sales tax module reflecting it accurately on those reports where you use those reports for filing your sales tax returns? I would be concerned about that.
All these good questions, and hopefully we'll have some answers, as this evolves. So let's kind of switch gears a little bit. We'll keep you updated on what we discover about the revenue recognition. It is a nice start to the options, and the rubber is in when the rubber hits the road in the reports is where we're all very concerned and want to make sure that works. Yeah. But let's kind of switch gears a little bit and talk about Auty-Mate. So Brian, tell us a little bit about a little deeper about how Auty-Mate started and what it's all about. You are muted.
There we go. Welcome, everybody. I want to start out with, we've been on the journey to get in the App Store for quite some time. We wanted to make our product the best product, the easiest way to get data in and out of QuickBooks. And we've worked hard on that journey over the last, actually, 2 years. Believe it or not, we did a webinar 2 years ago, and Simplify Your Life, Automate Your Work, September 2019. And actually longer than that. So it's been quite some time. And from then, we're finally in the App Store, and we launched some incredible features that took us a while. We did them from large franchises, and we definitely want to introduce you guys to it so you guys can start taking advantage of it, because it's been vetted by thousands of users for very large franchises and ISVs. So, but basically, what we do, and the best way to explain this is everyone's probably watched Star Trek, right? You've got Captain Kirk, and he's got to speak to a Klingon, and he needs a way to speak, right, to the Klingon, just like we have apps, right, different types of apps that we work with. And, we need to speak, Bill.com needs to speak to QuickBooks, or, it's probably an easy example, but like Stripe needs to connect to QuickBooks or an Excel file. You need to get data. You need a way to communicate with the computer. You need a way to speak your language. You guys all understand QuickBooks, right? You've used QuickBooks for some time, but you need a system that helps you take your knowledge and turn that into an automation that saves you time and money and gives you a competitive advantage in the market today. And that's what we do. We currently connect over 350 systems and growing. We do a lot of mid-market projects for large ISVs and franchises. So if you guys know anybody that needs a project that scales out to 300 plus users, let us know, because we definitely do a lot of projects like that. But we can connect to pretty much any data source and kind of bring that together. So you're not sitting in the middle overwhelmed. It all kind of speaks the same language and works together as it's made to work together.
And I first met you, Brian, at a Scaling New Heights conference. And when I popped over by your booth, if you want to pop back over to that screen that had all the apps on it, when you started talking about your platform, is that, I was just blown away by what you're able to do. Basically, you put all of the APIs in all together, and you're able to communicate with them and in a meaningful way, right? And we'll talk about one such connection that you've created. But this is kind of like the tip of the iceberg that we're talking about today. And this, what you have in mind in store for the future is super disruptive, I think, as it comes into the accounting space.
Awesome. We just, ultimately my passion is to help people organize all their data from all the different systems so they can get things done. And nothing makes me happier. Actually, I had a large franchise. I wish I could mention them, but they're big legal. But basically, they one of the guys said, we were doing a networking meeting with them talking about Auty-Mate, and the guy stood up and said, the best decision I made all year was using Auty-Mate, because we took all their point of sale data, we automated everything for them, and they don't have to do anything. They just connect to Auty-Mate, click, and done. And so, we've been able to take that story and now use that for large franchises, large ISVs. Now we're able to give you that power and that repeatability for your business. So yeah, it took us a while to get in the App Store, but we wanted to make automating your work easy. And we wanted to do it for some large franchises to get it completely vetted before we went live. So we wanted to make sure we built something amazing for you. So we're finally in the App Store. You can find us Auty-mate.com, on Auty-mate.com, or you can find us in apps.com and search for Auty-mate here. And you can connect here. This is our page right here, and you can find out more about us on the App Store and connect directly from QuickBooks. But we currently are doing self-service options. So we're giving you self-service options with Excel, Google Sheets, like CSV, XML, and JSON. And we're going to be launching Salesforce here soon, which is going to be really powerful. And then a lot of other exciting announcements are going to be coming later this next quarter.
I mean, going from Google Sheets, Excel integration to Salesforce, I mean, that's a huge leap. When you're talking about what you can connect to, and I think that speaks to what is when you're looking when you initially look at this and like, well, what is this, right? What is Automate Transactions? It's a lot more than just I take a spreadsheet and I upload it, right?
Right. Yeah, I think the biggest way to describe us is we've been in the mid-market for 8 years, and we've been working with we started out in healthcare. So we're bringing a lot of the healthcare features that we've used and a lot of the big banking features that we used and bringing those features to the SMB market at a reasonable price, which is huge. Now you can do, typically when you build an automation, you get stuck somewhere and you're like, I can't do this. We kind of take you to the next level so you can actually do pretty much any type of automation that you need. And Dan, you used it recently, and I think I'll save that for you to talk about that in just a little bit on the slides. But just so we launched this in the App Store, I think last month, but we have used this quite a bit for some large franchises and ISVs. So we've already processed over 100 billion transactions. We've saved about over 30 million hours. We work with over 1,000 trusted companies, and we have about 7 million automations all in total. So we've actually, this is well vetted. It's been used by large enterprises, and it's very simple for you to use. But we do have more complex solutions for larger enterprises where you can pretty much do anything. We support all the major transaction types for customer transactions, vendors, lists, and others, making it easy for you to do any type of integration that you need. The best way to describe this too is, we have a lot of QSPs probably on here. Jim, he struggled with this and he wanted to use Automate and kind of brought this use case up to us. He's obviously has commissions from from Intuit, and be able to export that and load that every week, takes him quite a bit of time. Now with our system, you can take that file from your commissions or whatever and create sales receipts in minutes, taking that 1 hour process you do weekly and turn it into an automated process where you can literally save $3,380 a year. And that's a common use case. So anytime you have to do something that's repeatable, that's an opportunity where you would need to automate a new workflow for your business so you can save time and money.
All right, so let's go ahead and launch a poll here, and we'll be able to speak to a couple questions that might have come up while you were talking.
Yeah, I have a question right off the bat. So Brian, what's an ISV?
Intuit is an ISV. So I'll give you one example. Like we work with Wellness Living. They have over 5,000 gyms. So we're able to use Automate and embed our product and white label it inside their product. And actually it shows up as, powered by Automate. And then they're selling it to all their gyms and automating all their sales transactions from their gym software into into QuickBooks. And it literally opens up like a little window while you're in the app. It's one line of code that they had to add. And so that way, like an ISV, that they don't have to know how to code. They don't know how to do accounting. They don't have to do QuickBooks. They embed one line of code and we automate their entire accounting for all of their customers. So 5,000 gyms, any like Intuit is an ISV, independent software vendors, any independent software vendors looking for an accounting integration or large franchises. We work with those to make their lives even easier.
Okay.
Right.
So Automate would be what I would call a connector app. You connect other software or other apps to QuickBooks. It's a connector app, right? To
That's
bring
right.
data from another
Yes.
app into QuickBooks. So I kind of call them connector apps. And so Betty has a question. Can you move daily sales from a point of sale to QuickBooks for a restaurant? And I
Yes.
would say the answer would be yes, right? So like, for
Yeah.
example, I've got a new client and they're getting stuff from Square. They're using Square evidently for their bar to get all the sales from Square into QuickBooks. And so they're just
Mhm.
getting like one big number. They're not getting any breakdown. So that would be a perfect example to use Automate to get the information from somehow from Square and into QuickBooks and get that
Right.
broke down some to get the sales into QBO. Is that correct?
That is correct. So like, one example is you could export that Square data into an Excel file and load it yourself. Or if you had a large group of people, like, you could actually speak to us and we'll meet with you and we'll build the automation so it's automated. And then, you could set it up for thousands of people so they can, like, every restaurant could get this integration very quickly.
Oh,
And we have like a self-service. So Jimmy John's, we do all the Jimmy John's integrations right now for.
okay, but
Michael
Brian,
Myers.
but what about a lot of us who don't have Jimmy John's as clients and we have Joe John's, 2 restaurants or 1 restaurant? A lot of our clients are smaller. They're not going to be Jimmy John's large franchise change, but it's Joe John's with 1 shop or maybe 2 shops, and we have smaller clients. Would you all be able to help us, or is that cost prohibitive? Do we have to do that ourselves as the accountants? And are we able to do that ourselves? You mentioned self-service. Is that something that we can do ourselves?
Yeah, in this demo, you're going to see how easy it is. I'm actually going to use case with somebody that has $1 million in invoicing, and they were spending 40 hours doing this every month, and they're always getting $20,000 off on their numbers. I'm going to show you how to build that integration in less than 2 minutes and do it from scratch. So it's very easy to do. The other thing too is you can export the files and map it, or we also do onboarding meetings where you can schedule a meeting with one of our engineers and we can help you get onboarded and using Automate. And Dan actually went through that, and he was able to build some complex integrations, and he's going to have a great use case here to talk about in just a minute.
Awesome.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on. Share the poll results here. So it looks like most people are using bank feeds, a few with the receipt capture, some file imports. So very near and dear to what you're talking about here, Brian, with the file import. So let's move on. There was one question about, does this work with desktop, which is always the always the question, right? Of whether Automate can integrate with desktop. What is the current status of that?
Yeah, we've done desktop for large franchises. We've got probably almost 800 of them out in the market right now, but we haven't launched it as a self-service product yet. So if someone has a large number of desktops, we can support them, but we don't have it as, hey, you can build it yourself yet, and that is on the roadmap.
All right, great. So let's move on.
All right. So let's talk about, there's a lot of integration platforms out there like Zapier and Sassant, maybe TPI. What makes Automate different, right? And that's what I want to talk about here, because that's what matters to you, is how do we differentiate ourselves from other market leaders in this space so you can make the best decision on what tool to use for your business so you can start automating your work. So I think the real power of Automate is that it makes it super simple to automate your work. And if you look online and try to find what's the number one reason businesses don't implement integrations, it's because it's too hard or complex, or they have fears that they're not going to do it right and they're going to generate wrong invoice amounts, or they're going to pay a vendor bill that it's more than they should have, because you're dealing with financial transactions, and that's always scary for people. But we believe we can make it as easy as an easy button and make this complex problem that you have something you don't have to be afraid of, and that you can build yourself and know you're doing it right with a very simple platform by using the knowledge you already have, because our system looks just like QuickBooks. So if you know QuickBooks, you can use our system. I wanted to kind of create this little example, and I'm going to go through each of the different differentiators, but this is kind of a good example of how we're different. I love Dan's analogy. I was showing him the product before we did this webinar, and he's like, well, you know what? You're like Sassant and Zapier had a baby. That's what your product's like. And I was like, yeah, you know what? That's a really good way of describing it. And so basically,
as much as you don't like to talk about the competition when you're comparing yourself, but I mean, to really put it in, layman's perspective, right? Like, because that's where my mind always goes, is like, looking at an application, like, what is this like currently in the market, and how does it differ? So this, I think that puts it in a good perspective. Is like, it's like that. It's like Zapier, where it has multiple applications that you can connect to, but it's also like Sassant in that you can bring it in and map things into your QuickBooks.
That's true. And kind of one of the things too is you can actually automate this at scale for large numbers of your customers very easily. And so this is used by large CPA firms and large bookkeeping firms. And then that way, unlike its parents, you can replicate this template and kind of provision it for all your clients very easily. And they can upload the files themselves without you being involved, which is really cool. So just some of the differences, we currently connect to 350 systems. About 6 of those systems right now are self-service, but we do connect to other ones. So if you have a good use case for a large number, the ones we already connect to, it's really easy for us to build those out. Obviously Zapier has a lot more, but we do, Excel, CSV, Google Sheets, XML, JSON, the current files that most of you might be familiar with. We also, do single record transactions like Zapier, where you can, when a customer is created in Stripe, create a customer in QuickBooks, very simple use case. That's what Zapier does. So Zapier is able to do one very, very simple integrations. I add this, go do this. It's not able to aggregate the data. What Automate does really well, and Sassant and TPI do well, is multiple record transactions. I have a huge Excel file, and I want to generate $1 million in invoices, and I need you to aggregate the data and the totals and create them in one invoice. Yeah, you're going to pull your hair out, because an invoice has headers, line items, products and services, classes, customers, products and services. I can keep going, right? All of those 12 different transaction types in a typical invoice are handled in one single trigger action in Zapier. You're going to go crazy. But we're very much simpler. Plus, we give a lot of mid-market features. So we have a simple interface, and I'm going to show it to you in the demo. Looks just like QuickBooks, and you're going to be like, wow, this is easy. Plus, we have mid-market functionality. The functionality that these mid-market companies, they're charging you $1,000 a month for these large companies. We have those kind of features, which none of the competitors have, like advanced functions that can take values from multiple fields as conditions to set, say, a reference field or so forth. Or we also use artificial intelligence to map a couple customer names that don't match between systems, or product and services that don't match between systems, or chart of accounts that don't match between systems. And that's very powerful. Plus, you can share templates. We can also, you have a single dashboard where you can manage thousands of customers. We have some franchises that have 5,000 locations. They can manage it all as one view from an executive. Or CPA firms that have 500 people using Automate, they can see how all their integrations and see a red light, green light on how well their integrations are running for all their customers. So you can manage at scale customers. So very mid-market features that you're going to need for automating at scale. Plus, we have a single dashboard with you can visualize time savings. And obviously, once again, user-friendly. Looks like QBO. Let's make your life easy. You already know QBO. Don't need to learn some new language, right? We're all about universal translating, right? So I want to take this moment to let Dan kind of take over. He had a great use case. They actually wrote a blog here. You can click this link. And we also created a little video about the advanced functions and kind of how that works. So, but he used the following features. I used the column mapping simplicity, the advanced field mapping to update the product names from the names given by bill.com to create the correct product and services. He was able to duplicate this process for multiple people. And he also was able to see his dashboard of time savings. So Dan, you want to go into detail on that?
Yeah. So the situation is that we had we were using bill.com, and we're using it in the basic version, right? So this is the free version that bill.com makes available for people receiving payments, not necessarily sending the payments. So what was happening is that the bill.com was not, we wanted to be able to make it available for bill.com to be exported into QuickBooks, but there was some challenges with that, because Bill.com doesn't know the QuickBooks, right? So rather than paying the $79 a month, for each of those people, which is in the 800 range, right? We wanted to create a process to be able to export it out of Bill.com and bring it into QuickBooks. The problem was that there were multiple different line items, so there was some manipulation of that export file in order to bring that in. And what Automate was able to solve for us is that we could set up that manipulation inside of Automate, so that all I had to do was download the CSV file from Bill.com and then import it in, and then 5 minutes, it would create the invoices for me in my QuickBooks Online. So just that process was saving at least half an hour to an hour a month each time, right? So that is a huge win savings for us, and that's what I really liked about working with Automate, is that you were able to take out those mundane tasks of doing something in a spreadsheet fashion, and just all I got to do is download it, upload it, and I'm done. Now the next step would be if I could take out that 5 minutes, right? Which that might be the next the next phase of working with Automate, right?
Right. And then you can scale that out to, thousands of locations if that was a problem like that.
Right.
I think one of my favorite feature of Automate is it works and looks just like QuickBooks. So if you're familiar with QuickBooks, we made our interface, the mapping interface, to look exactly like QuickBooks. So you're all familiar with the sales receipt looks like. Our interface looks like a sales receipt. You map it on the sales receipt. It all makes sense. Okay. I'll show that during the demo. Now, one of the great things is advanced functions. So all the other competitors, you're going to hit some walls, right? Let's say you want to update the payment terms from net 30 to net 45 if invoice is over $10,000. That kind of stuff's really hard to do. So with Automate, you can actually create advanced functions, and you can actually really do like, hey, if this amount is over 10,000, set the net. And we have a kind of interface that makes it easy to write this code, so you don't have to be a coder to know how to do it. But hey, if you know a little bit, you're going to be super powerful. Plus, you can meet with our team. We can help you guys build out these integrations. So one of the things, too, is this complicated use case. So this is actually Dan's use case here, and this was the logic. Could you talk a little bit about this and what you needed to do here with this use case?
Yeah. So basically, I had like 4 or 5, maybe 7 different products and services that was on my product and service list. That when there was some kind of reference to that in the Bill.com export, I wanted to be able to recognize that when this text string was used, then it will be able to change the product and service on the invoice itself. So it allowed me to categorize the different revenue sources, right, with different items. But I had to do that manually in the spreadsheet before uploading it prior to coming to Automate. So that was this was like the missing link, right, between the two systems is this advanced function, and worked with your folks over there to be able to help create that, because at first I didn't know the power of what it was able to do, but as it started walking, now all this makes sense. So then he gave me like a few options, or and then I could use that as a template for to make it even more robust.
Awesome. So it's kind of limitless, right? What you could do with this tool to automate your work for this use case, right? I mean, you could literally do anything you need to do.
Yeah. The advanced functions is a great feature and a big differentiator between what I've seen with other applications that are out there.
Another really cool feature is our AI data mapping. So we use artificial intelligence to auto map between two systems, because a lot of times you have to map the fields and you have to map the data. Mapping the data is virtually impossible with any other system. So we're able to, let's say, for example, you want to standardize the chart of accounts between some abbreviated system, and you wanted to pull that into your to QuickBooks chart of accounts. Well, our AI will auto try to map all those items. So it will look at what's in QuickBooks and what's in your file and try to figure it out. Okay. But then you can add your own mappings and that way you can get the data. Let's say you could use it for customers, you could use it for payment terms, you could use this for chart of accounts, you could use it for product and services. This is the missing link, because a lot of times the data doesn't match, and you don't want us to add new chart of accounts every time there's a new chart of accounts. You want something that maps to the existing ones, and you're able to do that really powerfully and easily with Auty-Mate.
Yeah, I had a situation where we were trying to combine multiple QBO files into one, and the chart of accounts between the various other ones was not consistent at all. And so the end result was, the tool that we were using, this was before an introduction to Auty-Mate was available. The tool we were using just determined that anything that it didn't find, it created an expense account that the detail type was travel. So it created more of a mess, for liability accounts that should have been liability accounts, as expense accounts that were where the detail type was travel. So it was a huge mess on top of trying to make things simple, and it made it more difficult. So those are the challenges, I think, that we all love to hate when there's a new tool in town that says it makes things simple, but then makes something more difficult on the other side of the task that it's supposedly solving.
Right. And I just want to mention too, like the history of Auty-Mate, we came from the mid-market. So we're doing, electronic healthcare medical records integrations, which are probably the most complicated integrations on earth. And we're taking that tech to solve the SMB market. And so these are the things that you don't know that you need until you get to the problem where you need it. Right. And that's part of the solution that we bring to the market. The other thing we do is we manage all your integrations for all of your clients in one place. So we actually have clients that have, thousands of locations already using Auty-Mate, and they can actually log in and just see 3 specific stores if they wanted to, or they could see all the stores, okay, or all the ISVs, okay? So an ISV is using this and they want to check to see how their integration. So for instance, that wellness living example, they're actually making 6 times the revenue that we charge them. So we did the integration, we built it, we embedded it in their product, and they charge 6x what we charge, and they can log into one platform and see how well their integrations are doing for all their clients at scale, which is nice. So if you have 3-4 clients and you want to see if your integrations are running successfully for all of them in one place, if you see any red on this report, you need to get involved and work on it. We make it really easy to fix it to make sure those transactions get in, especially for repeatable processes your clients might have. The other thing we do is we have our guarantees. So we guarantee that you're going to save money by automating repetitive, high volume, error-prone manual accounting and payroll processes in minutes. And if you don't save at least 2 hours a month of mundane accounting, it's free. So we believe that we're here to help you save time and money. So we're able to stand behind that guarantee. Plus, we do a 30-day free, no credit card required trial where we give you like 200 transactions that you can use. And we also have chat responses in about 5 minutes during business hours, so you can reach out to us.
I love the dashboard that you have, and just the fact that it lets you know how many automations that you had, how many rows were processed, and what that equates to time, because that's really what we're trying to manufacture here is more time later. I'd be super happy by saving 63 hours.
Right. Absolutely. And that's what we're here. We want to make sure you're saving time when you use Auty-Mate. So the other thing we do is we do friendly error messages. We have undo, we have redo. We tell you the exact transaction issue and allow you to edit it, just like Transaction Pro does or SaaSant. But we have it much simpler than they do. So if you have any error records, you can go in here. Let's say for this one says the amount on debits not equal to credits. Please balance your debits and credits. That's always the notorious issue, right? Accounting has to balance. So we actually have a suggestion here. We have a video. It tells you explains what credits and debits are and how they balance and what you need to do with Auty-Mate. You would typically export this, and then and then it will tell you, hey, there's a sum this column, and then it'll tell you, hey, you need to add the reverse amount, and then you fix it in here real quick and hit resubmit, and you're done. And those are really challenging problems that people get stumped on. Very easy to fix in Automate, and we make sure that your job is to get all your integrations to green. So if all your integrations are green, you know that there's not one missing invoice, there's not one missing vendor credit or whatever that you're trying to do. All of those are getting in there. And that's the two things. People are fearful of, obviously knowing how to do this. We make it simple, and also fearful they'll make a mistake. And so we make those things easy for you. The other thing is only Automate can allow your clients to upload their files. So you have the ability to share an automation with your customers. And then you can say, hey, Mr. Customer, here's your integration, copy your file when you want and upload it, right? And or put it on an SFTP server. We do SFTP as well. So, in the future is, there's no file needed. You can have your customers do that, or like with Salesforce, when we're doing this, it's going to connect automatically and sync your data. So we also have great support options. You can use your desired method. We have chat, we have phone, we can do onboarding sessions and support meetings as well. Plus, we have a great user guide with hundreds and hundreds of articles, so it's easy to get a hold of us.
All right, so let's throw out our next poll question of what app integrations do you currently struggle with? Because that certainly is the potential struggle that you're trying to solve for. We did have a couple questions here while people are answering those. So you did mention the phone, but my experience, they're very, very responsive on chat, and if it's something that needs more than what you can do on chat, because you can work asynchronously and when on chat. So that's my preferred option when dealing with support needs. They can suggest, okay, schedule some time here, and then we can screen share or things like that. But you do have a phone call system as well, right, Brian?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And we typically, what we do is if someone has an issue or a problem, or they have an onboarding question, we usually send them to a link where they can schedule an onboarding session or a support, and we do a Zoom meeting. That way we can help them and walk them through the process, and it's much faster. Yeah. So typically we reach out through chat. We would send that to you, and then you'd be able to meet with us. And
then there was a question about, you had mentioned JSON. What is that for those non-techie folks?
Oh, yeah. So none of the other systems do JSON like we do. So JSON is JavaScript object notation. So every web browser basically runs on JSON. Like if you open this window right now, we're using Google Sheets, it's using JSON in the background to send data back and forth. Honestly, it's a language of the web, and we support that. We also support XML, which are very complicated developer kind of systems. So,
Michelle,
yeah, I was going to say, I wanted to answer Melissa. She answered or asked us earlier, what does this do without the programming jargon? And I think the best way to say it is this allows us to set up and connect data from those clients that have a third-party system, like we were talking about, point of sale. So like those clients that have a restaurant or have a retail store, all of these e-commerce clients that popped up during the pandemic and now are selling things through different e-commerce, shopping carts and things like that. This allows us to set up and connect from their shopping carts or their point of sale system or whatever app that they're using to connect those systems with QuickBooks Online. So we can set up those connections to get that data automatically flowing into QBO. And then like Brian showed us, we can monitor this dashboard. So once we've set up and created that connection, all that data is now automatically flowing and posting into QBO. You can monitor your dashboard and make sure that everything's coming in. So you're getting all the data posting automatically for you. So you don't have to worry about doing that manual data entry anymore. So hopefully you're not billing hourly or anything like that. You've set up your value pricing, or like Ron Baker's telling us now, you've got subscription pricing to where we're monitoring our dashboard. Like Brian said, you're looking for the green. If there's something that's not green, you're going in, like he showed us there, and you're looking to see if something is out of balance or there's a problem. You're just monitoring the data and just problem solving. If there's a few problems throughout the month, it allows you to manage a lot more clients. So it's helping us to be a lot more efficient working with these clients and getting that data into QuickBooks.
So there's a use case that just came up in the chat. It was like, would this automate zero sales receipts for daily sales from Toast, right? Because there's not necessarily a direct connection from that. And based on what you talked about, Brian, if there's going to be some kind of report that Toast can create. And that will be able to be created as a spreadsheet or a file type that's supported, and you can utilize the advanced functions and set up that mapping so that and then share that automation with your clients that you say, okay, every day or every week or every month or whatever, go create this report, export it as a CSV file or a file that's going to be supported. They upload it. You don't even need to be the middleman at that point, getting the file, because they create the report and they upload it, and then the Autymation runs on its own based on that trigger of, I've uploaded the file. Correct?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
You
didn't have to say much.
Yeah,
exactly.
William wants to know if it will import Elevon payments. I'm not even familiar with those. Elevon payments?
I will say this, that 99% of systems out there export in one of the formats that we have: Excel, Google Sheets, CSV, JSON, XML. They all support it. Right. The only difference between us and building a connector to, for like a franchise where it's at scale, we would build that extra step where we integrate it. Right. But what we typically do is, hey, give us your file, download it. We build the automation, we make it visual, and then we automate it and connect to their REST API or whatever and automate that. And that's the next step. And we do that for people that have a repeatable problem. But yes, pretty much every system has those kind of output files that you can use.
All right, so we're getting a lot of questions about what does this cost, but we want to talk a little bit about what does it look like first. So in the next, coming in for a landing here with 7 minutes. Can you squeeze this in, Brian? Yeah,
let's do it. So let's talk about a use case and a demo. So this is a real life use case. So Enliven Data Solutions, the guy says, wow, Autymate has saved us $150,000 a year. And so, basically they use this for 4 clients and they save over 80 hours a month, at $65 an hour. And they have no more billing issues. Now, the issues that they were having that was costing them the most money was billing issues. So before they used Autymate, they had someone manually actually take a ruler to the screen, and they would have an Excel sheet or something or a printout, and they would just go down the screen and manually copy all the data into QuickBooks. Okay, one at a time. Even though they were, using a ruler and doing this, they still made mistakes, and they actually audited it, and they found out that they were on average $20,000 off because they're doing $1 million in invoices. So it took them, 40 hours for $1 million in invoices generated. Okay, but they were also missing income of $20,000. So I'm going to go through and build the same use case. So in 1 minute, to enter $1 million of invoices each month with no mistakes, and I'm going to show you how to build it yourself. Okay, so you guys can follow along with me. It's that easy. So let's take this into account. So if someone could send out these links real quick, this is the link you go to sign up for Autymate as a trial. This is the sample file that we're all going to use, and this is the mapping that we're going to use. Okay, and you're going to follow along in this. We're basically going to map the company, invoice number, and then the line item details. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go to Autymate. One second, I'm going to go to right here. So this is our website. You're currently at Automate.com. To get here, you just go to Automate.com and then popular ways to use Autymate. You click this button and it takes you here, and then you can see the different popular ways that people use Autymate. If you click on Excel, we're going to do file upload, and we're going to create an invoice. Okay. And we're going to hit try it now. All right. Now, hang on 1 second. Let's see here. Okay. So right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit sign in. And so notice it's got this, I'm just going to enter my name, Brian Perdue. And then I've created a fake email address using Melanator so I can actually show you the whole process. So QB Power Hour 2. So right here, email at Melanator. And then we're just going to create a fake password. So, okay. 1 second. And go back. So I'm just going to generate a fake password here. Copy that, fill in the password, accept the terms, hit sign up. I'm going to call, let's call it, enliven test. And then I'm going to hit, go ahead and continue. Now we do have to confirm your email. So I've got email confirmation here. I'm just going to click on this, confirm the email address real quick. Redirect to login. Okay, perfect. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm signed in to Automate. I'm going to go sign into Automate real quick. Okay, so just pop this in here real quick. You guys can follow along with me. Hit sign in. Oh, forgot the password. I might spell this wrong. All right. And what did I do wrong here? Sorry, technical difficulty here. Might have entered the wrong password. Either way, just so since we don't have much time, I'm just going to show you the whole process. So anyways, I did all that to just show you how to log in. So all we're going to do,
and you can use your Intuit login as well. So if you're signed in to QBO, you can just sign it, click in, sign in with Intuit, and then follow the prompts there.
Yeah, and I did it a few minutes before, but I'm kind of rushed here, so I don't want to waste any time. So all I'm going to do is start here. When you actually choose your integration, it actually gets you started. So let me sign in with my actual account here. I know. Sign in. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to choose. So what it does is it automatically takes you to this screen when you choose what integration you want to do. So I'm going to choose file upload, and I'm going to choose invoice. This thing will create customers, departments, items, classes, terms, invoice items, and invoices all in this one simple integration. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and upload a new file. So I just click upload here and I pull in, this is a light version of the file. I'm going to show you a full version as well. I'm going to go ahead and complete the upload. Okay. Then I'm going to go choose this file, hit next. I'm going to connect to my QuickBooks account. So I'm going to create the connection. So you just hit create connection.
You can name the connection so that you can see, which connection is working, for which client. That I keep missing that part is being able to name the connection so that you can see, the automation as a specific name.
Yeah, and it's a good idea to name your connection as well. I agree. So you just, once you get logged into your account, your QuickBooks account, you're just going to click on the button. Then you're going to choose, what your default product and service. So we have to create a product service, which is typically sales, and you choose your default expenses. These are only two options. I'll say miscellaneous. And this is where if we create a new product or service, it's going to go to those accounts. If you want an email, if there's an issue, you can click this button. And then basically you go to the field mapping screen. Now, this is what's really cool. It looks just like QuickBooks. Okay. So in this file, what we want to do is we want to map, it's already mapped. We use our AI to try to pre-map everything for you. But right here, we're going to choose, customer. Okay, or actually it's called company in this file, but you can see the first row of data and the actual values of the file in here. So I'm going to choose, company. I'm going to choose, get rid of this guy right here. I'm going to choose the amounts right here. Just choose amount. I'm going to choose the description here. It's already description, so that's good. The product and service. So I'm going to type in product. And then I'm going to choose quantity right here. So I'm going to do quantity. Okay. And that's it. And this is we need the rate as well. So we're going to do rate. So there you go. Okay, perfect. Now for this person, they're doing marketing. So, they're kind of, doing millions of transactions here for them. So all we do is we hit the next button. And obviously this looks just like QuickBooks. We also have a grid view where you can kind of see the grid view if you're used to that. This is the advanced column data mapping where you can actually map at the product and service and pre-map them, and it loads all the different values. And then also if you want to look at the advanced functions, you can click this button and then you can choose, advanced functions here. So let's go and do an example of that. So I click on advanced functions here, choose a value. Then I'm going to click on this little button. I'm going to click on advanced functions. Notice you can do the billing address here in that field. And I can click on advanced functions. And then you could build, let's say a case statement. So we can do like a case statement. And then you just choose the field value right here, field name, you would say company, operator, and you just fill it in, and you don't have to code, but it makes it really easy to do this. I'm going to get rid of this billing address here. Just delete that, and then go ahead and hit next. Now, what you can do is you can go in here and you can see all the validation. Everything looks good. My favorite feature is you can preview the invoice before you create it, so you can see what the invoices look like. Nobody has this. So you actually see I've got four or five invoices that are getting generated. I click next here, and then I'll give this a name. So, save 40 hours, and I'm going to hit run this integration. Okay. Now, this might take a second to run just because it's running a lot of data. So we're going to give it a second to run. But while we're waiting, let's talk about pricing real quick. So we do have a free trial. It gives you 200 transactions per, 200 transactions that you can play with, right? So you get an opportunity to kind of mess with it and learn the system, right? We do $10 per accounting file. Now you don't get the advanced features, right? But we also do $30 for, I think it's five files, 5 or 10 files. I can't remember. You have to check the website. 10 files. Yeah. So you get for $30 a month, you can use this for 10 customer, 10 QBO files. You get the advanced functions. You get the, all those cool features that no one else has. And we also
important to call out that you can have multiple automations for each of those 10 clients. So it's not just 10 automations; it's 10 connections to QuickBooks Online clients. But you can have multiple connections per client.
That's correct. Yes, absolutely. And then the other thing, let's go back to Autymate, so you can see. This one had the invoice. So notice this is really cool. So this one had invoice numbers were missing in this request. So it gives you a suggestion how to fix it. And then you notice that it didn't have a customer name. So there was an issue with this. So I wanted to show this to you so you can see how easy it is. Then you can just put in, I need 7MPAP, which is the customer. I can just enter that in there. It auto saves. And then you can create those transactions. It syncs. And then you would just hit load that. You just click on the run to finish here, and it'll finish the process. Okay, so let me show you what this looks like. If we go to the Audi history, you notice that one had an issue, so you can see that's in red. I wanted to make sure I show you how easy it is to troubleshoot issues. You can see that you saved 57 hours so far. We processed 3,741 rows. And then we can go in here to a successful one here that ran, and I can look at the invoices that got generated. And if I click on this button, actually, let me go back here and click on the bottom one here. I can click on this one, processed 1,638 rows, processed $1 million in sales. I can open up this invoice. And this is where I love this. Like you're saving so much money. Now you have to log into your account to see the data, right? But if you log in, you can actually go in here and you got to click the button after you log in. If you log in, you can kind of see the invoices and what they look like.
Take you right to the transaction.
Takes you right there to the transaction. And this is all the value, right? We're getting that. We're getting that data between the systems. So you got a $5,073 invoice, and then you have all the products and services right here: the quantity, the rate, the amount, all of that, and it's done perfectly every single time. And so this actually created several different invoices. Right here, we've got I think it created some of them were $83,000. So it's super easy for you to build these integrations. So we can go to another example here and look at a larger invoice. But this is all, and you're all done. And if you had an issue, all you do is you hit the undo button. So this is a $41,000 invoice, right? And if you don't like it, hit undo. So no risk. So I just showed you how easy it is to build an integration, how easy it is to undo an integration. So what's the fear, right? Go do it. You know QuickBooks, you can map it yourself, you can undo it. You know it's going to, you got a red light, green light report to tell you if there's an issue. So, there's no fear. We've made this simple. We built a universal translator that can take your knowledge as a bookkeeper and turn it into a cool integration for your customers.
So I'm going to launch. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Dan.
I was launching the last poll about if you wanted to learn more about Automate while we're wrapping up here.
I was just going to say, Brian, I think the other thing that you did, you were saying how what you did, I think you did a great job of making it non-technical, non-geeky, non-programming. Like you made it so simple, I can do it.
Right.
I think is what I'm trying to say is you made it so easy, I could do it. I mean, you made it to where I don't have to be a programmer to know how to do this. I, a basic accountant, can figure this out just knowing what an invoice looks like. This is something that I can do knowing what an invoice looks like. I don't have to be a programmer. I don't have to know code. I don't have to know geeky terminology to be able to use this tool. By knowing what an invoice looks like, by knowing the field, customer, quantity, item, I know how to do this. You know what I mean? It's easy to use for an accounting professional because I know what an invoice is. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
And I love that about it, is that I don't have to be a programming type of person to be able to use this tool. I love that it's user-friendly for me.
Right.
It's one of the things like Pro Series, the tax preparation software that Intuit makes. That speaks to I know where I want the number to go on the form. Just tell me where to go to find the form so I can get it. That's what this is doing in QuickBooks. Is it's I know what this file where I want it to go, and it gives me a way that I can see where that is, because other applications are like, this is class _5 form, field,
exactly.
and
yeah. Show me the invoice. I know where it goes. Yeah.
That's right. And the other thing too, we're here to help you if you have an issue. So you can click this button in our app to book a consultation and schedule a meeting with us, where we'll help you build that integration out for you. So making it easy for you to automate your work and get the help that you need. So
and Brian's been nice enough to offer our viewers a discount. So there is a promo code of QB Power HR for 20% off the paid version. You can do that within the next 7 days, or you can chat with them if you were so anxious to get started and started a trial right away, and you want to take advantage of that. You just chat or email it with them to make sure that promo code gets offered to you. So I really appreciate you making that available to the folks that are joining us today, Brian.
Awesome. Yeah, you're welcome. So,
all right, and we did launch the last one, and we are a little bit over. I don't know if you have some time available, Brian, if you had some specific questions yet.
I do have time for anybody who has any questions, and hopefully we'll help you guys automate your work. Super excited about that.
Ross was asking, he's been using MS Power Automate to automate process in the last few years. How does this differ from that?
To be honest with you, I've never heard of MS Power Automate. I've never heard of them, so I couldn't answer that question. But I think one of the biggest things is probably ours is simpler, and also we have mid-market features. Most integration platforms in the SMB market do not have mid-market features like Automate does, because we came from the
and Brian, that's great. You mentioned the mid-market capability sooner, and that's great for those of us really that want to address those clients and go after that capabilities of those mid-market, knowing that it has that capability. I mean, that's awesome. And knowing that we can use it on our smaller clients as well. I mean, that's just awesome that it has the capabilities of both. I think that's wonderful.
That's right. Yeah, it definitely makes life easier.
Now, was there any other questions that can you use that? Can you use this for journal entries? What is there any limitation on the number of or the types of transactions that you're able to bring in?
Pretty much any transaction that's available, we can do. I think there was a slide at the beginning that I showed of all the different transaction types. You can also just go to Autymate.com/AMT, and it has all of them listed. So you just type in AMT. So AMT for short for Automate Transactions, but here's all the different transactions that we can do.
So what about payroll? Because that's always seems to be a hang up, is getting payroll in. Does that come over as normal checks and normal, things like that? But you can import payroll if it's a third-party processor, but they come over as normal checks, not paychecks.
Yeah, so it's just limited by what the API does. So there's some things that are locked down by the API for payroll.
Yeah.
Now, when QuickBooks opens those up, we'll be able to support them. But we do have lots of customers using payroll. We connect to Paychex and ADP and several other different payroll companies, and we do these integrations.
Okay,
yes,
that's good to know.
We connect to most of these. Mm-hmm.
And Megan wants to know, does a discount amount on an invoice get synced with QBO with Automate from Excel? So if they've got an invoice that has a discount,
you just map it to the discount field. And so if you go into the mapping screen, so if you go to Automate and you click on, let's just go into the one we just created, you hit edit mapping, there is a discount field in here. You go to grid view and you just find the discount field, so type in discount, and it's right there. And then you can enter the discount amount here and then process those discounts. So, and then you could just click this advanced function. Let's say you want to set it to a custom value. So you could set to a default value if blank and set it to, whatever value you want it to be. It's that easy. A good question.
And I may have missed this answering a question or doing something else, but once you do your mappings like that, you can save that and use those mappings for another client. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So they're actually shown right here. So if you go back to the Autymations here, let's see here, and you just click, you can upload a new file to run it. So you just click upload to run, and then you just drag and drop, and you're done. So,
you could export the mappings so that you could do that to another client.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. And,
yes. Great.
And also our enterprise version, if you purchase it, comes with an SFTP server, and people can just drag and drop, automate file deliveries for customers as well. So if you wanted to pick up files from some of their FTP, if they had one, and populate, we could do that at scale.
All right. Was there any other questions? I know we're a little bit over, and I think we could geek out all day. I think.
I just think it's wonderful. Brian, I remember we had you on, I don't know, several years ago, I think. And I'm just so impressed with this tool. And I know I've got several clients. I'm sitting here thinking, I can use this for them and this for them. And I think a lot of us have people that we know or clients that we know that we can implement this with that will help us. And I'm also thinking of our training and certification that Intuit does. And one of the modules, we talk about that daily sales summary. And I'm thinking, hopefully that could be obsolete. If everybody started using Automate, we wouldn't have to do that anymore. Posting the daily sales manually, we wouldn't have to do that at all.
That's true. And we could share that template and give people a link to it, and then they could just subscribe to it and done.
Yeah.
They don't have to do anything. Just drag and drop and you're done.
So one last thing we want to mention is that Brian and I are actually kicking around the idea of doing a workshop. Where it's more of like a 4-week, type of thing where we can, take some of these use cases, like say Toast, for example, and really put it through the test and make sure that, Automate can handle these sort of things. So look forward to be on the lookout for that. We're thinking like the springtime, sometime like that, where we'll actually be just kind of in together for a boot camp, an Automate boot camp for a few weeks in March. So look forward to that. Brian, thank you for joining us again. We love having you here. I think what you have is a phenomenal potential for accountants and professionals as well as just business owners in general. Taking the mundane things out of doing those mundane things, which frees up time for more valuable, services and usages of that time.
Absolutely. So thanks for having us here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you both.
we'll see you next time.